Hello everyone, this is Ashley Tucker. Thank you for joining me today. For today's card, I'm going to be using the Snow Much stamp set, which comes in Simon Says Stamp's January card kit. I took the larger of the two penguins that comes in the stamp set, and I used my Misti tool to stamp it onto some Neenah Solar White cardstock with my Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. This ink is a Copic friendly ink, which is important because I'm going to be coloring in the penguin with some Copic markers. And just so you guys know, I am on the tail end of getting over this cold, so my voice is still a little bit rough. Anyways, as you know, penguins are black and white, so there isn't a whole lot of coloring to do, but I don't want to leave the white areas just plain white. I wanted to add a little bit of shading with some gray markers, and of course I had to color in the beak as well. After using some really light gray markers for the shading, I did take my colorless blender in order to kind of fade out the line of that gray. Once I finished the coloring, I used my scan and cut to cut the penguin out, and then I started working on this background. I used some tape to mask off the edges around this piece of Bristol smooth paper. And I placed all of that tape so that the outer edge of the tape is right on the edge of the paper, so that I have an even border going all the way around my piece of Bristol smooth paper. I blended my background with some Distress Oxide inks in the colors Spun Sugar, Abandoned Coral, and Seedless Preserves. I really like the way that these colors looked together. I think it's a really beautiful combination, and it's definitely one that I'm going to have to use again in the future. Once the blending was done, I very carefully pulled off the tape, trying very hard not to rip the paper. And this is something that I always enjoy doing. There's just something so satisfying about revealing those really crisp edges. Now, I made sure to let that Distress Oxide ink completely dry. I even went over it with my heat tool a little bit, and then I moved on to embossing a sentiment on top of it. I stamped the sentiment with Simon Says Stamp Embossing Ink, and then I embossed it with Alabaster White Embossing Powder from Brutus Monroe. Next, I grabbed all of the different snowflake images from the stamp set, and I arranged them around my sentiment. So I stamped those snowflakes with some embossing ink, and for these I decided to use a gold embossing powder. This is Gilded embossing powder from Brutus Monroe, and it's one of my favorite embossing powders. Once I finished embossing those, I trimmed down this panel to be slightly smaller than an A2 size card, and then I put a whole bunch of foam tape on the back and adhered it onto an A2 size card base. I really love the look of a white edged panel popped up onto a white card base. I used some more foam tape in order to pop up my penguin along the bottom of that blended background. One good thing about this foam tape is if you just place your image and you don't press down, you're able to move the image around until you get it where you want to, and then you can press it down and it's adhered. Now, I wanted to fill in some of those empty spaces in between my snowflakes, so I took this Pilot Gold paint marker and I added some dots and little sparkles all over the place, kind of forming a little bit of a swirl going across the paper. While I was doing it, I was thinking of pixie dust from like Tinkerbell, and that's what I was kind of going for. I wanted to add some finishing touches to the penguin because he looks really adorable and cute, but I know with a few different finishing touches, he could look absolutely amazing. So first, I went over all of the black parts of the penguin with my Wink of Stella glitter brush to make him nice and sparkly. Next, I went over the eyes with my glossy accents, and this really deepens up the color of the eyes and makes them shiny and dimensional. Finally, the last thing that I did is I took a white gel pen and I added some highlights. And just so you know, the January card kit actually comes with a white gel pen and some glossy accents. So here's a closer look at the finished card. I really love the way that this one turned out, especially the colors of that blended background. Thank you for watching today. I hope you really enjoyed this card design featuring the stamp set from Simon Says Stamp's January card kit. All of the supplies that I used for today's card can be found in the description down below. If you enjoyed watching today and you have not subscribed to my channel yet, I'd encourage you to hit that subscribe button so that you can see all of my future videos. I'll be back with a new video on Friday. Again, thank you for watching. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a good day today.